Okay, so today we're looking at compound interest. Now, you've probably done this with your teacher, and there are lots of different ways of doing roughly the same thing. So compound interest applies wherever you're getting the same percentage being added on over and over again. So Hyacinth invests £5,000 at 4% per annum for 5 years. So that means per annum means each year. So that means that in the first year you get 4% added on to your £5,000. That gives you a new total. And then the next year you find 4% of that new total and add that on. And then the next year you find 4% of the new total and add it on, and so on. You can do it like that, but it is extremely boring. Alternatively, you can do it by various shorthand methods. The way I would do it would be called CRY. So CRY is just a shorthand way of doing exactly the same thing. So Y stands for years, but it's just whatever period of time your percentage is being added on or taken away during. So here it's per annum, so that is per year. Occasionally you'll get questions where that's per month. R is your rate, and we'll look at how to work that out in a minute. And C is your capital. That's the amount of money you're starting with. So here we've got your capital equals £5,000. That's the amount you started with. Your Y, the number of years, is 5 years. Your rate, you start at 100% and then you look at what's happening. So this is interest that's being added on, so you're adding on 4%. Now that is a percentage, so we need to make sure we recognise that, so divided by 100. And if you do that, you get 104 over 100, which is 1.04. So that's your rate. So 100% to start with, and then look at what's happening. In this case it's increasing, so we're adding it on, plus the 4%, divide by 100 because it's a percentage and we want it as a decimal. And that gives us 1.04. So that then makes it a really nice simple calculation. So Hyacinth's investment, he's got 5,000 multiplied by 1.04 to the power of the number of years, which is 5. And if you look on your calculator, different calculators do slightly different things, but I'm going to do 5,000 times 1.04, and on this one it's the x to the power of button, and it was 5 years, wasn't it? So that goes in there, and that works it all out for me. It's 6083.2645, which we're going to round, 6083.26. £6,083.26. Okay. And part B, how much interest has he earned? Well, the amount of interest he's earned is just the difference between his starting amount and his ending amount, because that's the interest that was added on. So that's £1,083.26. So that's his interest. Right, there we go. So that's compound interest. Now, the same mathematical technique can be used anywhere where you're applying the same percentage over and over again. So this could have been a question about a car that cost £5,000 and increased in value by 4% every year, in which case the calculation would have been the same. It could have been a question about a car which cost £5,000 and then decreased in value by 4% every year. If it's decreasing in value, then when you're working at the rate, you start at 100% and you take away whatever it is, in this case the 4, and that would have given you 0.96 here. So this can be used to increase or to decrease. Right. Next question. So your next question is about Sarish. She bought her house in 2009 for £130,000. It increased by 5% per annum for 2 years, and then it decreased by 2% per annum for 3 years. So you're going to have to work those out in 2 separate stages. What is the value in 2014 to the nearest £1,000? So we're going to do that in steps. So we're going to have the increase. So for the increase, we're starting with a capital of £130,000. It's the number of years is 2 years, and your rate is, so it's increasing by 5%, so it's 100 plus 5 over 100, and if you work that out, you get 1.05. So we can work that out easily. Cry equals 130,000 times 1.05 squared equals and that comes out at 143,325. Okay, so that's nice, it's gone up in value. Sadly, it then decreases. And so our new starting value is where we ended here. So it's 143,325. Our number of years is, looking up at the question, it's now the 3-year bit. And our rate, it's a decrease of 2%. So that is 100 minus 2 over 100. 100 minus 2 is 98, divided by 100 gives you 0.98. So what you get now is 143,325 times 0.98 to the power 3, and we can work that out. And what I'm getting out there is 134,896.3434. But the question said, so normally I'd round that to 2 decimal places, but the question says what is the value in 2014, which is where we are now, to the nearest £1,000. Okay, so that's units, tens, hundreds, thousands. So that's where I'm rounding to. This is what I'm looking at. So you round an 8 up, so that's going to be 1, 3, and then the 4 is rounding up to 5, and then I need zeros as placekeepers in place of these, but I absolutely don't have anything after the decimal point because I've rounded to the nearest 1,000. I need these zeros as placekeepers. I don't want anything after a decimal point, so that's my answer. There we go. Finally. So you can be looking at investment where you've got money just invested in a bank account, the compound interest. Here we're looking at house prices going up and down. That can be an investment. And finally, we're going to look at shares. Now, shares is a way that companies raise money. So you can buy shares in a company, and that means that they get money from you and you get some level of shares in the company profits each year. But you buy the shares in the company and you can sell the shares in the company. So they're another form of investment. They can go up in price, they can go down in price. So Denise bought hers at £4.50 a share and she sold them at £5.20 a share. So clearly they've gone up. Sometimes people invest in shares and then the market collapses and the share price just completely collapses. So if Denise had been unlucky, she might have bought at £4.50 a share and sold at 50p a share, in which case she would have lost huge amounts of money. Now, she's paying somebody to do the selling of her shares. So she's paying 2.7% commission selling them. So the first thing we need to do is find out how much it cost her to buy them. So let's do that. So buying. Well, that's quite simple. You know, 375 shares and each one cost her £4.50. So 375 times 4.5 equals, and that comes out at £1,687.50. So that's what she bought them for. Now she sold them. There's still 375 of them, that hasn't changed. And she sold them for £5.20 a share. Okay, so 5.2 times 375 equals. So that was 1950.00. So that's what she sold them for. So that's definitely more money than she bought them for. That's quite a nice profit. But she has to pay commission of 2.7% of their selling price. So we better work out what that is. .7% of 1950 with or without a decimal point and 2 zeros. And that's 1950 divided by 100 and times by 2.7. So that is £52.65. So although she sold them for £1,950, she had to pay commission. So you could look at what the profit was, the difference between buying and selling, but then you're going to have to take off her commission. So we'll do it that way. So 1950 minus 1687.50 equals 1950 minus £1,687.50. So that's £262.50. But then you have to take away her commission, and that's £52.65. And that gives you £209.85. And that's actually how much money she's made. So that is her profit. So this is her actual profit. So she bought at one price, she sold at a higher price, so you can find the difference between those. But then she's got commission on that, that's 2.7% of her 1,950, £52.65. That has to come off as part of her expenses before you've got her profit left. So her actual profit is £209.85.